أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم وأزلفت الجنة للمتقين وبرزت الجحيم للغاوين وقيل لهم أين ما كنتم تعبدون من دون الله هل ينصرونكم أو ينتصرون فكبكبوا فيها هم والغاوون وجنود إبليس أجمعون قالوا وهم فيها يختصمون تالله إن كنا لفي ضلال مبين إذ نسويكم برب العالمين وما أضلنا إلا المجرمون فما لنا من شافعين ولا صديق حميم فلو أن لنا كرة فنكون من المؤمنين إن في ذلك لآية وما كان أكثرهم مؤمنين وإن ربك لهو العزيز الرحيم. Respectful honorable friends, in this ruku that we've been doing the tafseer of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been mentioning Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and in last week's tafseer, because the verses that have been recited are a continuation of those, where Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam had made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Rabbi habli hukman wal hikni bis salihin. O my Rabb, grant me wisdom and join me with the righteous. وَجَعَلْ لِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخِرِينَ, and maintain a favorable word for me among those who are to come. وَجَعَلْنِي مِنْ وَرَثَةِ جَنَّةِ نَعِيمٍ, and make me from the inheritors of the bounteous Jannah. وَاغْفِرْ لِأَبِي إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الضَّالِّينَ, forgive my father, for he is among those who have gone astray. The tafsir of all this we had covered last week. And then, وَلَا تُخْزِنِي يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُونَ, do not disgrace me on the day when people will be resurrected. This is where the dua of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam comes to an end of what he asked from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As there is different opinion whether the remaining is also part of what Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam said, or this is just describing the Yawma Yub'athun. Yawma Yub'athun referring towards the day of Qiyamah, the day of resurrection, and referring to the day of resurrection, further the verses that have been recited now, Allah Ta'ala mentions that it is the day wherein يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, that the day when neither wealth nor sons will be of any benefit. إِلَّا, but مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ, except for those who, for him who comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَتَى اللَّهَ, who comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, with a sound heart. So referring to the day of resurrection, the day of Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala describes it that it is a day wherein يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفُعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ, the day wherein neither wealth, mal, wala banun, nor sons will be of any benefit to an individual, except for the one who comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala biqalbin salim, with a sound heart, the one who has been granted by Allah Ta'ala, who comes to Allah with a sound heart. Here Allah Ta'ala mentions two things. Well, three things of importance. The main is what is qalb salim. Prior to that is mal wala banun, the day when neither wealth nor sons will be of any benefit to a person. Allah Ta'ala mentions mal, wealth, as usually these are two things that benefit a person in this world. One is mal, the wealth that a person has, and the other is banoon, sons. And Allah Ta'ala mentions here banoon as in sons, and not children, including both boys and girls. And the reason why this is the case is when it comes to benefit or benefiting the parents, banoon, the sons are those who will benefit the parents more. And that is how it's meant to be. It is their duty more over that of the daughters. And when the parents are in need, it is the sons who will be able to benefit the parents more than the daughter. Hence Allah Ta'ala mentions banoon, indicating that even the banoon, sons who would be there to help the parents, on the day of Qiyamah, neither they will be able to assist and help. Illa man atallaha, but for the one who Allah Ta'ala has granted qalbi salim, a sound heart. What is qalbi salim? We shall come to the tafsir of that in a moment. Before that, there is something to understand here, the tafsir of this, as there is two tafsirs here, with regards to the exception that Allah Ta'ala mentions here, which is called the illa. Illa in Arabic, which is here istisna, an exception. That is this exception muttasil or munqati? This is to do with the Arabic context of the verse. There are those who have the opinion that here it means that on the day of Qiyamah nothing will be of any help or use to a person but qalbi salim. That the mal and banoon are also exempted, that they will be of no use to anybody at all. That the only thing that will be of any use to a person is qalbi salim on the day of Qiyamah. And an example of this is if you say to somebody that Zayd, what does Zayd have? And in reply to that, somebody says that he has wealth, children. He has wealth and children. And in reply, a person says that Zayd, for him, his wealth and children is qalbi salim. That is his qalbi salim. Meaning here that on the day of Qiyamah, mal and banoon, that Allah Ta'ala mentions here, wealth and children, will not come with an individual, will be of no use to a person at all. The only thing that will benefit a person is his qalbi salim, the sound heart that he has been granted. That is one tafsir. The other tafsir is that la yanfu malu wala banoon, that wealth and children will be of no benefit, but meaning they will be of benefit to the one who comes with qalbi salim. So what tafsir is that mal and banoon will be of no use at all to a person in the akhirat. It will be just the qalbi salim, the sound heart, that will be of use to a person. That is one tafsir. And the other tafsir, which is a majority tafsir, and that is that the mal and banoon, the children and the wealth, will only be of use to that person who comes with qalbi salim. Meaning that if a person does not have the qalbi salim, a sound heart, then the mal and banoon will be of no use and benefit to them. And the one who does have a sound heart, for him, his wealth of this world as well as his children will be of use to him in the hereafter. And this is also backed up by the fact that elsewhere Allah mentions in the Qur'an as well, that when it comes to a person's wealth and his children, then those who depart from this world without iman, their children, their wealth will be of no use to them in the hereafter. Because that everything they've left behind here, nothing will be of use to anyone in the hereafter. But a mu'min, for a mu'min, his wealth, what he spent here, will be of use to him in the akhirat. And his children will also be a means of benefit for him in the akhirat, in the form of safarish, intercession, where children will intercede on behalf of the parents. And similarly, where parents are in Jannat, they are high, lofty abodes, and maybe their children have fallen a bit short. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will join families, the children, offsprings with their parents as well. So the parents will be of benefit to the children, and where children can be of benefit to the parents. So إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ would refer to a believer, the one who has a sound heart. For him, his mal and his banoon, his mal, his wealth, that whatever we spend here will be of use to a person because of his iman in the hereafter, and the banoon, his children, meaning whatever good deeds they do in this world, they will benefit from it in the hereafter, and when it comes to the intercession and that, they will benefit from them as well in the hereafter. So wealth of this world and the sons of this world will only be of benefit to those who أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, who Allah Ta'ala grants a sound heart. Now the question is, what is a sound heart? Said Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala mentions a sound heart is that heart which is free from kufr and shirk. Meaning a mu'min, a heart that has iman. So a sound heart is the one who is free from shirk. Another tafsir of qalb salim is that heart which is pure and sincere. Another is that heart which is steadfast upon deen and tawheed. This is what qalb salim is. This is more simple tafsir and explanation of what qalb salim is, a sound heart. In another tafsir there has been mentioned 5 definitions of qalb salim. And these you can classify as being, or take as being 5 qualities of what a qalb salim is, of what a sound heart is. One quality of that person who possesses a sound heart is الَّذِي يُنْفِقُ مَالَهُ فِي سَبِيلِ الْبِرِّ. What tafsir is that qalb salim is? That person who spends his wealth in the path of righteousness and virtue. Meaning the person who spends his wealth in the good place. Because when a person has wealth, it is very easy for a person to just squander it, for a person to waste it, to spend it wherever they want to. But that person who has understanding realizes where it is best to spend it and spends it in virtuous deeds in the righteous path. That person is one who Allah Ta'ala has granted, who has come to Allah Ta'ala with a sound heart. That he spends it in virtuous deeds. Virtuous deeds are those places wherein a person will benefit from it both in this world and the hereafter. To the extent that when a person, that's what Nabi Kareem Sallallahu mentions, نِعْمُ الْمَعْلُ الصَّالِحِ لِرَجُلِ الصَّالِحِ, that the best wealth is that wealth that Allah Ta'ala grants a salih and a righteous person. That a righteous person, a wretched person, a person who doesn't have understanding of deen, no practice on deen, if he has been granted wealth, he will waste it. He will not know where to spend it, and he'll spend it in the wrong places. And that person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted understanding and piety and righteousness, Nabi Sallallahu mentioned, نِعْمَ الْمَعْلُ الصَّالِحِ لِرَجُلِ الصَّالِحِ, that this person, his wealth will become righteous. How will become righteous? Because of his righteousness, his piety, he will spend it in righteous path as well. So one is الَّذِي يُنْفِقُ مَالُهُ فِي سَبِيلِ الْبِرِّ. The other is الَّذِي يُرْشِدُ الْهَدْيَ. The second is that person who gives guidance towards goodness as well. Meaning that person who, whatever responsibility he has upon him, and depending on whatever degree of responsibility is upon him, he gives da'wat towards rushd, he gives da'wat towards righteousness to people. A father in a family, the elders in the family, who will then give guidance to their children to come onto the path of deen. This is guiding them towards righteousness. And these 2 definitions, the first 2 definitions, are those which are related to the verse as well of mal and banoon, which have been mentioned, wealth and children and sons. And who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted wealth, they have rights, there's duty that they need to discharge with regards to wealth. Along with that of the zakat and that. Along with that, the duty with regards to the correct manner in spending it, these are also incumbent upon an individual that they ensure that it is spent in the right way. Banoon as well, the person who has children, then their tarbiyah is also a duty upon the parents, and in tarbiyah, the correct form of tarbiyah as well. These are two tafseers of qalb salim. The third is الذي كان قلبه خاليا عن غلبة الشهوات. That person whose heart is free from being overpowered by desire. Qalb salim is that person whose heart is free from being overpowered by desire. When it comes to desires, desire is something that every person possesses. Every person, this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created every person, that you will have desires. These desires are both types. These desires are of good as well and desire of bad. This is something that each person possesses both. Otherwise it will be an engine. So, فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Person will be inclined to have good desires. A person will have negative desires, evil desires as well. The person who has good desires, by all means, those should be fulfilled. But when it comes to desires which are evil desires, which lead a person towards the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those desires will enter into the heart. But as long as a person does not carry them out and follow them through, then those desires are not detrimental for that individual. So that person whose heart, nobody will have a heart that is free from any desire, but the one who is free from ghalabat shahawat, from being overpowered by those desires. Meaning that a person learns how to control the desires and does not allow those evil desires, negative desires to overpower them. This is what is the ghalaba of shahwat, of the overpowering of desire. How we can control this desire, this is a lifelong mashq practice that a person needs to do. The more that a person is in contact with the righteous, this is something that a person can remedy. And also a universal remedy for the ghalba, the overpowering of and the controlling of desire, is the month of Ramadan. That is the month of Ramadan where Allah Ta'ala says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And this is what taqwa is. Taqwa is that a person does not follow each and every desire of his heart. Whether those desires that lead towards the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to not follow those desires, this is what taqwa is. Kafu nafsi anil hawa. To protect and to prevent the nafs, the desires. In fulfilling these evil desires, to prevent oneself from committing these desires, following them through, this is what taqwa is, and this is the training that Allah Ta'ala wants us to enjoy in the month of Ramadan. This is the maqsad, this is one of the purpose. The purpose of the month of Ramadan is not just to fast. We think that the fasting, the fasting itself, meaning sawm, that is the only purpose of the month of Ramadan. So the fact that we may have fast throughout the month of Ramadan, that is sufficient. We have fulfilled the wisdom or the need of this month. No, that is one of the requisites. That is what Allah Ta'ala has ordained in the month. But why has Allah Ta'ala ordained fasting for? That is لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So the actual achievement is, and that which we need to actually acquire in the month of Ramadan, is the quality of taqwa. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And this comes about from the fasting. As when a person will fast in the month of Ramadan, this is what he does, this is the training, this is what a person learns. A person learns to follow his desires, learns to control his desires. Eating and drinking, which is halal throughout the day. It is halal for a person eating, as long as eating halal, drinking halal. Now when a person is hungry, a person has a desire towards eating and drinking, to control those desires, don't allow those desires to overcome a person. That is what we do in Sawm. Person has desire of halal to fulfill needs with his halal wife. He controls, he doesn't. This is the purpose, and this is what a person does whilst fasting. In doing so, he is putting himself under that practice, the training of controlling his nafs and controlling his desire. And this is what we do. Those who do fast throughout the day, they are doing this. So there will be so many times throughout the day that a person will be hungry, a person will be thirsty, there is food, there is water, drinks, everything available. but a person abstains from it. Why? Because they know that by carrying it through, or by eating or drinking, it will break the fast. And if a person breaks the fast, the compensation is also very severe. And that is a kafara, that is what that a person needs to fast for 60 days consecutively. So just for that one fast that a person deliberately broke, a person needs to fast consecutively for 60 days. In between you break it off for any reason. A person needs to then start all over again. Just for that one, because of not controlling a person's self. Different, a person is in a state wherein they have to break the fast, that is different. He is just that because of the desire that you had and not controlling the desire, this is a kafara, this is a penalty that a person has to undertake. Majority, you will find, are those who, it is not often that a person will do that and deliberately break the fast. It's not often that a person, especially a person who is now understanding and they know what they are doing. Yes, maybe in a person's young age, in a person's youth, when a person didn't really understand the importance of fasting, didn't have that amount of maturity, then maybe a person may have done these type of things. But in life, when a person has understanding, one doesn't just break the fast unless they need to. So this is the kafara, but this is what taqwa is, and majority do carry this out. But what we do is, we might just carry out this taqwa with regards to eating and drinking, which is something that we have desire for. But the practice is, the training is, that with everything else as well, whatever we have desire for, which we're not supposed to be fulfilling, to be doing the same there as well. This is what taqwa is. Inshallah, more will be said and more we will be hearing in the month of Ramadan with regards to this. So this is one of the tafsir. The second was. The third is that one whose heart, qalbuhu khaliyan an aqa'id al-batila. That qalb salim is that person whose heart is free from any form of false beliefs. All aqa'id al-batila, false beliefs. That the heart should be free from these things. That person whose heart, that's why aqeedah is very, very important. Very important. That a person's aqeedah needs to be correct. A person can be practicing deen, following deen, but if one's aqeedah is not right, then whatever a person does will go in vain. So the correctness of a person's aqeedah is very, very important. And the fifth tafsir of qalb salim is that the one who qalbuhu khaliyan amman siwa Allah, whose heart is free from anything but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mimma siwa Allah, the heart is free from everything but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning all ghairullah, the heart is free from all ghairullah. That person who has such a heart, he has a sound heart. Which shows that on the day of Qiyamah, it is what will benefit a person is having the one who comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a sound heart. Qalb salim. Allah ta'ala grant us all qalb salim. Further, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this was from the description of Yawm Yub'athun, the day of Qiyamah. Further, as the aim is to complete this ruku, so we end off on the ruku, as this is the final tafsir, the weekly tafsir, due to the month of Ramadan. وَأُزْلِفَتِ الْجَنَّةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And Allah Ta'ala says that on the day of Qiyamah, Jannat will be brought close to the pious. وَأُزْلِفَتِ الْجَنَّةُ. Jannat will be brought close to the pious. Meaning that in a manner in which they will be able to glance of it, they will be able to take sight of Jannat. So before they even enter into Jannat, they will get a glance and a sight of Jannat. So that itself will increase the desire and enjoyment of Jannat. When you get a preview of it, then that will enhance and increase the enjoyment. وَبُرِّزَتِ الْجَحِيمُ لِلْغَاوِينَ. And on the opposite, the contrary, while Jahannam will be revealed to the deviant ones. Meaning to add to the misery, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that their necks will be protrude, and they will and they will see Jahannam. And it will be a case wherein they will almost swallow their hearts at that time. They will swallow their hearts when they just see and get a glance of the fire of Jahannam. Allah Ta'ala protect us all. وَقِيلَ لَهُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْبُدُونَ. And now when they will get a glance of Jahannam, they will be told that أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْبُدُونَ. Where are those whom you worship? Then now look at the outcome of those false idols, false gods that you had worshipped. Where are they now? Where are they now? Where are they here on this day to save you and protect you from the fire of Jahannam? Min dunillah, besides Allah. هل ينصرون, and min dunillah is attached on top. وَقِيلَ لَهُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, whom you worship besides Allah. هل ينصرونكم أو ينتصرون. Can they assist you or protect you in any way? فَكُبْكِبُوا فِيهَا هُمْ وَالْغَاوُونَ. They, meaning the idols, will be thrown, and kubkibu means to be thrown headlong into the fire of Jahannam. Hum wal-ghawun, they and those who had gone astray. Meaning the idols as well as the followers, they will be thrown headlong into the fire of Jahannam. And another fakubkibu even means that they will fall on top of one another, they'll pile on top of one another. وَجُنُودُ إِبْلِيسَ أَجْمَعُونَ. And the entire army of Iblis who misled them. So neither will Iblis flee from there, saying they followed their desires, I just instructed them, I didn't force them. And neither will be a case of they will free themselves blaming Iblis. All of them, they'll be thrown in the fire of Jahannam. قَالُوا وَهُمْ فِيهَا يَخْتَصِمُونَ. While quarreling there in Jahannam, the mushrikeens will say to the idols, تَاللَّهِ إِن كُنَّا لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. By Allah, we were certainly in manifest error. يَخْتَصِمُونَ. Because that's where they will quarrel with the idols. That we worshipped you. And this is what you gave us, this is what you blessed us with, this is what all our worship of yours, our sacrifices for you, our devotion to you, is this what it has led to? They will argue with one another. Those who misled them, their peers, whoever their peers will be, they'll quarrel with them. They look, this is where we have reached, this is where you have taken us and guided us towards. تَاللَّهِ إِن كُنَّا لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. By Allah, we were certainly in obvious error. إِذْ نُسَوِّيكُمْ بِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. When we considered you nusawi, equal to بِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ, to the Rabb of the universe. And this is mainly towards the mushrikeen. Because this is exactly what the mushrikeen did. They ascribed partners of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they say that we regarded you to be equal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by doing this, this is what He has led us to. وَمَا أَضَلَّنَا إِلَّا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Only the criminals have led us astray. Meaning the shayateen or the mushrik, whatever, the forefathers of mushrikeen, these are the ones, only they have led us astray. فَمَا لَنَا مِن شَافِعِينَ. Now there is no intercessor for us. وَلَا صَدِيقٍ حَمِيمٍ. And no bosom friend either. I mean, now there is nobody. Because all those who we had followed, and they themselves were led astray. And our own forefathers were all also in the same boat as well, that they were also in shirk. So neither can they help us, nobody can help us now. So nobody can intercede for us, and neither do we have any bosom friend who may in the world may have been there for us, could have helped us, assisted us, bailed us out of any difficulty and hardship. No sadiq, no friend, no family, nobody at all will be able to help a person on the day of Qiyamah. Nobody will be there to help and assist one another at all on the day of Qiyamah. It will be all track and trace, correct track and trace. All the groups of evil, all who misled one another, all of them will be together in this same dilemma. فَلَوْ أَنَّ لَنَا قَرَّةً فَنَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And now regret and remorse on that day. What a person thinks, anything we do wrong in life, wrong steps we've desired, we wish that if only we could go back. If we could turn the time, we could go back and change things so they will feel the same. فَلَوْ أَنَّ لَنَا قَرَّةً. If only we were granted a chance, فَنَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, then we would be among the mu'mineen. That if only we were given a chance to return to the world, that we would definitely, now we would accept. And this is a haqiqat and reality. And this is what is always told to us, reminded to us over and over in various dini discourses and that. Look, this is the time that we need to do as much as possible for the akhirat. If we haven't done anything here, and we go and we find ourselves in trouble in the hereafter, each one of us will desire that if only we can come back. Come back in the world. And whatever nasiyat was given to us, whatever advice was given to us, whatever we heard in the Jummah khutbah, the Jummah bayan, the lectures, whatever was told, these things, if only we had made amal upon it, if only we made tawbah, if only we did change. We always heard and we always knew, we read and everything, and we were taught the salat is farz upon us. But we kept on thinking that we'll do it later. Oh, it's fine, we can get about without it. Allah is Ghafur Rahim. But then on the day of Qiyamah, that's when we regret that if only we did make tawbah and we had read our salah. Now we find ourselves in difficulty that we're there without any salat in our amal. We did a fast in the month of Ramadan, and we see that the doors of Jannah are opening up, especially for those, the Bab Rayyan has been opened up for those who, and calling all those who are punctual in their fast. And we would not fast, never mind the nawafil, we wouldn't fast any fast at all. Even the first fast would come and go. We were neglectful of that. We would regret that if only we could come back and fast every single fast, every opportunity that we would have. Similarly, those who did whatever making good, and they will see all of this in the scales on the day of Qiyamah, which will grant them great honor. We will feel regret and remorse, and we will feel that if only we had another chance, but that is not going to be possible at all. And those who do not have Iman, they are going to regret wishing that they had Iman. Those who had Iman will regret that, look, we do have Iman, but if only we had good deeds as well. And also the fact that Allah Ta'ala has granted us Iman is such a great bounty and ni'mat of His. Allah Ta'ala then says, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً وَمَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. There is certainly a great ayat in this, in proof, in all of these verses that have passed. But وَمَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. However, despite all of this, most of them do not have Iman. I mean, the Qur'an is full. Qur'an is full of so much indications, so much signs towards the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But despite that, people are told, called towards Islam, they see the beauty of Islam, the invitation of Islam. But then to أَكْثَرُهُم وَمَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُم مُؤْمِنِينَ, most of them do not have Iman. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الرَّحِيمُ. And verily your Rabb is mighty, the most merciful. Allah Ta'ala is Azizur Rahim. And why Allah Ta'ala mentions this is, one is with regards to the false gods, compared to them, Allah Ta'ala is Azizur Rahim. And in Allah Ta'ala being Azizur Rahim, to indicate that if a person is reading these verses and may not be in Iman, or is reading these verses and have not led a good life, then never mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mighty, and Allah Ta'ala is Rahim as well, the most merciful. Bring Iman, that is sufficient for you. You will not be faced with these consequences. Make Tawbah, and again, you will be saved from these type of consequences. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Azizur Rahim. First, that Allah Ta'ala is mighty. When Allah Ta'ala is mighty, that it doesn't matter how much sins a person has committed, those do not affect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all. Allah Ta'ala will overlook, Allah Ta'ala will forgive. So Allah Ta'ala has the power and might to do so. Allah Ta'ala has the might to protect from the fire of Jahannam. It is all the creation of Allah Ta'ala. And Allah Ta'ala is Rahim, and because He is most merciful, as I mentioned in Jummah today, that person who lives an entire life of kufr, and right at the end just comes into the fold of Islam, recites the kalima, and before any salat even becomes farz upon them, they were to demise, they were to pass away, they'll go straight into Jannah. Straight into Jannah, despite the fact that they might have led, even if they 100 years old, 100 years have spent in the disobedience of Allah, telling direct kufr, rejection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not talking masiyat, that a person was a mu'min but disobeyed Allah ta'ala. We're talking a person who lived a life of total kufr, rejection, totally rejected Allah ta'ala. And now, just at the end, they have understanding, and they bring Iman, and they pass away in that state without doing anything at all. Any neki, but they brought Iman, that's sufficient. Allah Ta'ala will not hold them account at all. That no, although you have brought Iman, that is fine, that will save you. But because of all the years of kufr that you did, you need to be punished for that first, and then your Iman will save you. But no, just that bringing Iman and coming into the fold of Islam will wipe out all the wrong. And by wrong, as I mentioned to you, we're not talking about sinning or disobeying Allah Ta'ala, we're talking about kufr and shirk. Nothing greater than that. No sin worse than that. Allah Ta'ala is one because Allah Ta'ala is Rahim. So when Allah Ta'ala is Rahim, who forgives such a person, then those who have Iman If they make tawbah, is Allah Ta'ala not going to forgive their sins? But that is as long as we do make tawbah. And this is the opportunity Allah Ta'ala is giving us for this. Allah is giving us the month of Ramadan, and maybe that we don't understand. We don't really want to change, so then Allah Ta'ala makes it incumbent upon us that we fast in the month of Ramadan, bring the month of Ramadan. So maybe seeing the whole environment of the month of Ramadan, the most hardest of hearts, may also melt, may also mellow, and make tawbah and istighfar, turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, live, change their lives, move away from the darkness of sin and ma'asiyat, and come towards the light of ta'at, of obedience, in servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the great bounties, because Allah ta'ala is Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with Iman. Allah ta'ala gives us the month of Ramadan to be able to make the most and attach and connect ourselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the understanding that we recognize Allah ta'ala, that how fortunate we are that Allah ta'ala has granted us Iman. How fortunate we are that Allah Ta'ala has given us Iman. He's given us the insight of Iman, the understanding of Iman. Even if we're not practicing Iman, Allah has given us Iman. What more do we want? And now that Allah Ta'ala has given us Iman, and because of the Iman we'll be saved from the destruction of the hereafter, then in return of that, should we not be, at least minimum we should be doing is obeying Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for the Iman that He has given us. And the reality is that Iman that Allah has given us, our entire lives, if we were to spend in frustration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we will still not fulfill. This is one gift that Allah has given us, that of ni'mat that Allah has given us of Iman, which is going to save us from eternal Jahannam will be saved from. If there was nothing thereafter as well, there is no Jannat for instance. Just the fact that we will be saved from the fire of Jahannam, that itself is so much. And this Iman is what's going to save us from the fire of Jahannam. And then it is the mercy of Allah Ta'ala that He will enter us into Jannat. It is the mercy of Allah Ta'ala that will enter us in Jannat. Allah Ta'ala shower us all with this mercy and His mercy and His forgiveness. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, the weekly tafsir will continue after the month of Ramadan. In the month of Ramadan, the daily programs will be Zikr Majlis after Fajr and daily program after Asr, inshallah. And the last 10 days, there will be program after Zuhr Salat as well.